All right, what's up, guys? Skylar here, late to the party again. Not completely my fault this time. My phone's screen finally crapped out after being cracked for so long. I literally couldn't use it. I finally got a new phone, so ready to start recording and making these YouTube videos again. So the Colts got Matt Ryan. Let's go. At first, I wasn't pleased with the trade, but I am a Matt Ryan fan. So I eventually came around to the idea that one of my favorite quarterbacks is on my favorite team. And, I was looking back at it and I was like, he is better than Jimmy G. He's more accurate. He's healthy. He's, of course, better than Baker Mayfield. I really liked Baker because, he did recently take his team to AFC Championship and it should have been a Super Bowl trip. Baker, and I feel like Baker's young. Baker's 26, and it would have been really nice because then we would have had our guy for like the next however long until we got tired of Baker. But Matt Ryan's good. He's cool, calm, collected. He really wants to be here. He grew up a Peyton Manning fan, and it really shows in his game with how he's really good from the pocket. And in my opinion, that's what you need to win a Super Bowl is a quarterback to be good from the pocket. Everyone values mobility so much. It's like when I'm looking at quarterbacks in the draft, that's like the last thing that I write about is their mobility, because I don't think it's that valuable. It's not nearly as valuable as being a good pocket passer and delivering accurate balls. You want your feet set, good footwork, good throwing motion, quick release, and just delivering good balls right in the numbers of receivers or right where the defender can't get to it. And that's what Matt Ryan does. Matt Ryan's going to come in. He's going to get into the right run checks. He's not going to audible out of run plays into passing plays like Carson Wentz did. He's going to, if he does audible into a passing play, it's for a good reason because Matt Ryan has seen every defense in the book. And he knows what he's looking at. Matt Ryan can identify the blitz and get the ball to where it needs to be to the hot receiver that's going to be open in that vacated area left by the blitz. It's going to be really nice to see that work. Matt Ryan's going to have an elite running back, an elite offensive line. Now we just got to get Matt Ryan some weapons. Matt Ryan needs weapons ASAP. So the guys that are left in free agency is Odell, which is obviously not a culture fit for the Colts, and we're not going to go get him. If we end up with Odell Beckham Jr., that should be like the surprise of free agency. Not Russell Wilson getting traded, not Aaron Rodgers being re-signed, not even Tyreek Hill getting traded, which was freaking insane. The Chiefs got an absolute haul. They have 12 draft picks in this season's draft, this year's draft, 2022 draft, 12 draft picks. That is Madden right now. The Chiefs have been playing Madden on the field. Now they're playing Madden in the draft. And it's absolutely nuts. They're going to rebuild. So we're going to be fight. So Jarvis Landry's still in free agency. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is still there. The Dolphins did bring back Preston Williams, but we didn't need a Preston Williams because he's a big physical receiver, just like Michael Pittman. We don't need that. We need a speedy deep threat guy. DJ Shark went to the Lions some time ago. All these guys that have already gone and went. T.Y. is still out there. T.Y. would be interesting to bring back. Maybe he's got a little bit left in the tank for Matty Ice to come throwing dimes. Not get thrown hospital passes like he did last year. That was a big part of why T.Y. was injured last year because Carson Wentz threw him one of the meanest hospital passes I've ever seen in my life. Excuse me. But I think looking towards the draft is what we're really going to be looking at for wide receivers. And in the draft, we're going to be fighting with a couple of teams for wide receivers. Most recently, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be in on that. They're going to be drafting wide receivers because Juju Smith-Schuster has proved he's not a number one guy. Ever since Antonio Brown left, his production has hit the tanker. It's just been going down because he's just not number one. He's a fantastic number two. He's a very bottom-end number one receiver. He's not – I don't think you can even say he might not even be a bottom-end number receiver. He's just not a number one guy that can command attention like that. So Kansas City should be looking to go get a receiver in the draft, if not a couple. Green Bay is absolutely in the market for wide receivers in the draft. And that's another team you're competing against for sure for these receivers. Like, so obviously we're not getting the top guys like Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, Chris Olave, and Drake London, which I'm not big on Drake London. He doesn't get a lot of separation. It's akin to having Kenny Golladay. That's my draft caught for Drake London is Kenny Golladay. And I don't think that's just really and we already have a big physical guy in Mike Pittman, and we don't even need to look at Drake London as a prospect because we don't need two of the same guys. We need somebody who can take the top off. Jahan Dotson could be one guy that we're looking at. I'm not the biggest fan. He's really good underneath, and if we get him in the slot and we use him as a slot receiver, Jahan Dotson could be dynamic for us. Jahan Dotson, he doesn't really take the tops off of defenses or anything. He just doesn't really take the top off of defenses. He struggles getting open deep. He doesn't really have the best release in college, or he doesn't really have an NFL level release, in my opinion. But he's a really nice underneath guy. He'll create separation underneath, create big plays after the catch. That's the type of guy Jahan Dotson is. He's not a T.Y. Hilton replacement like a lot of people think he might be because he's short and fast like T.Y. Doesn't mean he is T.Y. Doesn't make him Tyreek Hill because he's a short receiver. Let's get that straight. George Pickens should absolutely 100% be in play for the Indianapolis Colts at 42. It would be ridiculous if George Pickens is at 42. I know he's coming off of an ACL tear, but he still managed to. He came back fast off that ACL tear, like we've seen elite players do, like Adrian Peterson and Jeffrey Simmons, who have torn their ACL and come back in 6 months and been impactful players. George Pickens tore his ACL. He didn't play a lot last year, but the plays he was in was impactful. Like, he's, in my opinion, number 2 receiver in the draft behind Jamison Williams. My receivers go Jamison Williams, George Pickens, and Chris Olave, 3A, 3B with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is a lot like a Jerry Jeudy, but I would still rather have Jerry Jeudy than Garrett Wilson, Whereas Chris Olave, the way he stretches the field and just creates space deep and creates separation deep is the best. It's the best. He's the best guy at it in the draft. So, oh my goodness. But George Pickens, he's a fantastic route runner, fantastic hands. And if you watch that Michigan playoff game, you know how nasty he is at run blocking, and getting that for JT in a receiver would be crazy. You saw him go, he put the Michigan sidelines to sleep with that run block he put on that corner. It was absolutely insane. I'm 100% sold on George Pickens, even though he may have some attitude. Issues, but in a player that young, I feel like that could get coached out of him and gotten in check, and with the locker room culture that we've accumulated, that we've built throughout the years, I feel like Garrett Wilson is a young enough player to where he can get some sense into him. If he does have those issues, I've only heard very faint rumors about it. But Garrett Wilson is by far one of the coldest receivers in this draft. He's insane. So after the Matt Ryan trade, the Falcons have incurred so back to the Matt Ryan thing, right? Because, we got to talk about the Falcons side above it just a little bit. Got to talk about the Falcons side a little bit. They've incurred a $45 million cap hit. Colts got out of Carson Wentz. Like, this is why Chris Ballard needs to keep his job even if Frank Reich fails this year. Because Chris Ballard took Carson Wentz and flipped him for a higher second round this year, a second round pick next year. It's not a third, it's a second. Carson Wentz is going to start 70% of them snaps. Second round pick next year, and Matt Ryan. Absolutely great trade. Not only did we do that, but we didn't pay a dime of Carson Wentz's contract this year. And the Falcons paid Matt Ryan the $40 million on his end. So Matt Ryan's only a $23 million cap hit this year. So the Falcons have incurred $40 million of dead money in cap on Matt Ryan alone. They still paying $15.5 million in dead cap on Julio. when they got some other guys. They've got like 62 million in dead cap money this season, which is freaking insane. It's absolutely crazy how much dead money they have. It's just paid to a litany of other guys not named Matt Ryan or Julio. So at the moment, they're still doing really good on cap space. They're at negative $1 million, which is going to take nothing for them to get under the cap. And, we've seen the Saints year in and year out go into offseason with negative 60 million cap space and somehow come out positive from that. And, same thing with Green Bay and such. So it's not going to affect them too much. They're in rebuild mode anyway. They don't care about their dead cap money. They're tanking this year. I don't whether anyone wants to say it or not. The Falcons are absolutely in tank mode. Like Marcus Mariota, he's a serviceable backup, but he doesn't throw with anticipation. He doesn't have the strongest arm. Not the best reader of defenses, but they have no weapons. They lost Russell Gage. Their only weapon is Kyle Pitts, who's a very versatile weapon, and he's nice. But they don't have a running back. They don't have Calvin Ridley. They lost Russell Gage to the Bucks. And he's like, they don't have anybody. So they're in full tank mode. They're going to get their quarterback next year, first year in the first round. And then they're going to be smooth sailing from there. Maybe it's Spencer Rattler. That's still my favorite quarterback for next year's draft. And I think anyone that lands Spencer Rattler is getting an elite talent at least. And we'll see what Spencer Rattler does at the University of South Carolina this season, and I bet it's going to be great things. Peace.